There's quite a contrast between Stephen Harper and Barack Obama. Barack Obama has brought in a stimulus package worth more than twice as much per capita per American citizen as Stephen Harper's stimulus package in the recent federal budget. How would you contrast the two, and how can they possibly work together?
Obama has been extremely clever about it. I think that his administration has used the stimulus package to advance a number of social and environmental policies that he's been wanting to pursue, whether it's improving health care coverage, whether it's advancing technology in reducing greenhouse gas emissions and renewable energy sources, which has long been part of his policy platform. He's now taken this situation, the crisis, and somewhat turned it to his advantage in some ways and using the stimulus package to try to achieve those goals. He clearly has a vision of where he wants to go, and he's using the crisis to advance that vision in some ways as best he can. Here in Canada, let's compare to Harper. I mean, first of all, he denied that there was a crisis. He was slow to respond. He brought in a bitterly partisan fiscal update at the end of the year that was more concerned about cutting financing to his political opponents than it was rescuing the economy and protecting jobs. Finally, threatened with defeat from a coalition, he brought in grudgingly his budget earlier this year. I think it was very much a success that he finally had to listen to what Canadians were saying and bring in a major stimulus package with all the caveats that are around that. But even still, you know, it's a sense that he had to do it kind of dragged kicking and screaming into this thing. He had to be compelled to do it, and there is no great vision behind this, behind his response to the crisis.
So how do these two work together?
I think that increasingly, you know, when you see them put side by side, Stephen Harper's going to look like yesterday's man. There's new leadership in many of our allies, whether it's in the UK, in the US, and in Australia, for instance, where there used to be sort of right-leaning leaders in all of our countries. Now Harper's the last one left. And I think he's struggling to play catch-up to Barack Obama. On our website, welcomeobama.ca, some of the messages that we're seeing are along the lines of, you know, dear President Obama, please convince our own government to take more action and greater progressive responses to these. I mean, the irony is where, you know, the Bush administration used to sort of put pressure on Canada to do things that we didn't like. Now we're asking the U.S. administration to put pressure on Canada to do things that we want them to do. It's a remarkable time.
It's quite an irony. And is it possible that the brevity of Obama's visit may have more to do with Harper wanting to avoid those comparisons than Obama's problems? Well,
it's something that we'll never know for sure. I've been talking to people who, you know, have much better connections than I do, and they seem convinced that, yeah, it was the United States that did not want a big fanfare. Okay, fair enough. But what about at least a major speech? I mean, President Obama gives speeches every day. Why can't we have at least a speech here? I think that's a reasonable question. And in fact, you know, it's not even just to sort of satisfy Canadians. It makes sense if we want to have greater attention to us in Washington, which is the key audience. Having the President of the United States give a major speech about Canada in Canada will generate a lot of interest in the newsrooms of CNN and NBC and ABC and whatnot. Americans will become much more aware of that we're here and that there's issues that need to be resolved. Instead, I think Harper just did not want to seem overshadowed and is probably happy with the way the program is being unfolded, which is largely going to happen behind closed doors.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out. Thank you very much, Steve.
My pleasure, Ish. Thanks for having me.